is The Sports Life.
No. You don't just do that in pros. You don't just do that in pros. They got rules too. They got trade deadlines. They got money to do. Right, no, you don't. That's what's wrong with you guys. No, they don't just do it in pro ball. If they're trading, they're usually trading one for another. I'd like to poll 360 of the coaches and see how many are in favor of what's going on.
And welcome into the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler, and you just heard from the Dean of Big Ten coaches, Michigan State's head man Tom Izzo in his 31st season. And as you might guess, not a big proponent of what is going on in college basketball /portal /NIL / et cetera. But anyway, it's he's making a point, and he's going to keep making that point, I do believe. Well, we have a fun show lined up for you, I think, this week. And in keeping kind of with what Coach Izzo was talking about, we're going to visit with Deb Schneider. And she's a lawyer. She deals with sports law. And we're going to really delve into why some of these things were even allowed to proceed.
No, and it's going to be a great question. I'm really excited to get to that with Deb. Also, Mike DeCourcy will talk some about the ethics of what's going on in college basketball, and also take a look, too, at Big Ten basketball, away from the ethics, but actually what's happening between the lines with some of the great programs in this conference.
So, sounds of the week.
Well, as we just heard there from head coach Tom Izzo, look, this rant or speech that Tom Izzo ended up giving to the media is actually a little bit dated. It's a little bit older, but we thought, let's go ahead with this show, since we're going to be talking with those two guests we just mentioned, and bring some of those back out. So you just heard a snippet of it to top off the show. Here's a little bit more of what Tom Izzo had to say about the prospect of pros playing college basketball.
I don't know the whole situation. I'm a little disappointed. Scott's a good friend of mine, and he was on the committees, and didn't seem to be lenient in that. But what's happened at 3 or 4 schools right now, I mean, I just asked. And all these people write all these things about me, and they're all wrong. So they want to talk about coaches can do what they want. I'm still talking strictly, not for the program, for the kid. So I asked Cohen, would you be okay if I went and got Miles, brought him back, and I sat you? I mean, you laugh, but that's what we're doing. Somebody's sitting. Somebody's not playing. I just don't think that's fair for the players. I mean, some of them, worked their butt off to get to this position, and maybe things didn't go right. I'm a little surprised. I got to call into Scott. I'm anxious to see what he tells me. I mean, I'm not saying that we're holier than thou art or anybody should not do this or that, but if we're dipping into that one, if it's like I'm reading or hearing, I don't read it because I don't go on Twitter, but when I'm hearing, and now we're taking guys that were drafted in the NBA and everything, I said it to you a month and a half ago. Come on, Magic and Gary, let's go, baby. Let's do it. Why not? I mean, if that's what we're going through, shame on the NCAA. So everybody talks about me thinking of my program or selfish. No. Get that straight for all of you. I'm thinking of what is best for my son if he was in that position. And I just don't agree with it.
Because you've shown the ability to adapt things. But that's,
adapt,
there's like that
it's going to
line.
Get me.
Yeah.
It's going to get me here. Write this one down for you guys. It's going to get me. I'm just not going to let it bother me. It's going to get me sooner or later. Sooner or later, it's going to get me. Not that I'm going to be too stubborn not to ever do anything, but I'm not going recruiting Miles. I love Miles. I'd love to have him play. I think that would. I mean, what is wrong with that statement?
Well, that's a good question. And by the way, the Miles he's talking about is Miles Bridges. He's already recruited him once. I don't think he can get him back from the NBA. And, of course, he mentions Magic Johnson. And the player we talked about currently on his team is Cohen Carr, one of his starting forwards. So you get the gist of what he's saying. And at the end of the day, when Tom Izzo talks, we all listen, right?
Yep.
Because he's Tom Izzo. Dalton, I think he's trying to make sense out of a situation that requires logic that doesn't exist.
No, I think that's completely fair. I mean, how many times do you and I look at each other on this program or you talk with somebody else and you just say, I don't know what the rules are. Maybe there just are no rules. And I think that's consensus among coaches.
So at this moment, there's some kind of rule. But when we get done with the show, that rule may be gone.
That's right.
So who knows, right?
Well, and speaking of the rules, I mean, this conversation spurned up some different conversation and chatter from some of the other coaches, like Purdue's Matt Painter. This is what he had to say about the idea.
Yeah, we just want to know the rules so we can abide by them. Like we don't know what's going on. So that's what I would say. Like we need some leadership. We need somebody to step up and like, here's how it's ran. Here's name, image, and likeness. Here's the transfer situation. Like whatever. Like we can go on to all these different examples, and like give us the rules. We'll abide by them. You know, because that's who the rules are for. The rules aren't for the people who cheat. The rules are for the people that abide by them. And so like that's where this is all goes down, and there's no communication. Like we just want to know. Like tell us what to do. Tell us how to go about it. And then, like, you know, we'll go from there. And it's just, there's just a lot of gray area right now. You know, it's hard for, you know, for coaches that have done things a certain way, and you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to adjust. At the end of the day, we're all going to do what's best for our program. How we go about it, like, you know, I think it'll get, you know, dissected. But that's the one thing that happens with kind of like the game of basketball. Like you go through things, the things you experienced a lot of, like, you have a feel for it and you understand. The things that you've never experienced before, you know, like you're a rookie and people ask you a question, well, what do you think? Like, I don't know. I haven't been through it. I don't know what, you know, I don't even know how to address it at times. But I do know that we need to get some things straightened out. And everybody has a lot of different answers how to get there, but like that's what's in charge. Like if our team plays like that's my fault. There's nothing. There's nobody else. It's not my assistant. It's not our GA. It's not Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith. It's my fault. Like when you're in charge of something, man, like own things. And when things don't go right around here, I got to own things and I got to fix things. And then if I can do that, the people under me, they'll follow suit. And so we got a governing body right now that, you know, they don't know whether they're on foot or horseback. And we got to get some rules, and so we can abide by them and go forward and just have some common ground.
Matt Painter. Well, it's interesting. By the way, the Scott that Tom Izzo was talking about, he's talking about the Baylor program. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to imagine you're at the halfway point and you got a team, and all of a sudden, boom, here comes a new guy. I don't know. That doesn't seem right. Mm-hmm. At least collegiately speaking. But at the end of the day, here's one for you. Every year we give out the Sullivan Award. That's a big deal. It goes to the top amateur athlete in college sports. Are there amateurs anymore anywhere, Dalton?
That's a good question.
So what are those guys going to do, huh?
Start going to middle school ranks until they start getting paid.
And the top fifth grader who doesn't get NIL till next year is our Sullivan Award winner. I don't know. It's beyond crazy. Well, which is a great way to tee up what's coming up on the show. Deb Schneider, she knows all about this sort of thing. This is her real estate. This is where she roams. And she's going to join Dalton and I, and we're going to try to figure out where we're heading and where we are. But first, a break right here on the Sports Life.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, I don't know if there's a scorecard, Dalton, to keep track of what is going on in college sports. Are you a pro or aren't you a pro? Well, you're kind of a pro, but maybe you're not really a pro. So anyway, we've asked Deb Schneider to join us. She's a kind of a semi-regular on the show. She's a sports law attorney with Fishman Stewart, along with being an adjunct professor at Michigan State and Wayne State Universities. And Deb, thanks for joining us. And I just throw this out as a general blanket. When there was a discussion of a guy who had signed an NBA contract that might come back to college, everybody went crazy. And then we have G League players coming back to play college basketball, which is nuts. But on the other hand, we have pros coming from Europe to play college basketball. So I just throw this out to everybody. How can this be? How can you be a pro and come back to college?
Well, Will Dalton, thank you for having me. I always enjoy our conversations. Let's start with that. And this is a great one. And I think the question is, what does it mean to be a pro? The NCAA is back on its heels right now trying to figure that out. But realistically, they haven't changed the rules. The rules that are being enforced right now are from 2013 and from 1997. So what's changed is the climate, if that makes sense. We have NIL. We are making more money in college. Those college students, those basketball players in particular, because this is basketball, are making more than you could make in the G League, or even sometimes in the Euro League, or the two-way players. So it makes sense for them to try to come back and find that legal loophole, if you will. And if that loophole, do you want me to keep going?
No, continue.
Okay, so the loophole is based on a 2013 NCAA rule that says that as long as the athlete, even if they've signed up, even if they're a professional, as long as they've only received actual and necessary expenses, that means they still are that, quote, amateur that is eligible to come back and play under NCAA rules. And the caveat to that is you have to be within the 5-year window out of high school. You have to be an actual NCAA qualifier. You don't have an NBA contract. So if those conditions are met, there's a little bit of a loophole here that's allowing a lot of this to happen.
Can I ask, Deb, is this something that's translatable across the other sports too? Like, can we say a football player tries for a practice squad and didn't quite make the 53-man roster in the NFL, and he says, you know what, let me just go back to college and bully some of these kids around. Is that still a part of the loophole?
That would be a part of the loophole unless he signed a professional contract. And that's what is happening here. Charlie Baker, who's the executive director of the NCAA, has said that if you sign an NBA contract or if you sign any other professional contract by implication with a professional league, then you are no longer eligible. The question here is how much you're getting and whether those expenses are what they call actual and necessary expenses. And that's that, I'm going to call it that very narrow exception to this amateurism framework that we've been looking at. But yes, it would apply to, there's nothing that says this is just basketball.
Well, here's where I get confused, Deb. You can pick up a media guide of almost any major basketball program right now, and they have a new incoming player, and they'll talk about he played in the top European professional league. So how is that different from the NBA?
Okay, from the standpoint of the NCAA, I'm laughing because I'm thinking, well, maybe it really doesn't, but we have inconsistent application of this rule. It's kind of a case-by-case basis. So the way the rule is being applied is very inconsistent. So a European pro, and some have said, I think Calipari was saying that if you play in Europe, you're eligible, but if you play in the United States, you're not eligible, which really isn't true. It's whether or not you've signed that NBA contract. But they're saying as long as you've only received those necessary expenses and you haven't actually been paid a salary, which is kind of, it's definitely pushing the envelope of what a salary is, then they are allowed to come back. They're not professional. And we've come out and said signing an NBA contract makes you professional, but we haven't said that about the G League, and we haven't said that about the Euro League. So that's where we're coming into these questions.
Deb, I want to ask here too, because I'm kind of chuckling as well at the thought of, remember just a couple of years ago, I think it was a college football kicker that was banned of eligibility because he was making some money off of YouTube. That was like a year or two ago. And now we're talking about maybe guys that used to are playing professional athletes or dabbling in that world coming back into college sports. You had used the term inconsistent application of rules. That to me feels like a direct shot at what the NCAA is now. And I think for the context for listeners, the NCAA is constantly on its heels. It feels like it's just running for cover. Do we just need better or stronger leadership from the NCAA in applying these rules?
I think the inconsistent application of rules has been happening for a while. And we've seen that earlier with the transfer portal and all of that. But realistically, once the Alston lawsuit happened, which, as of July 1st, 2021, everything changed. Before we had amateurs, if you had an agent, if you signed a contract, a professional contract, you were out. In fact, way back in 1978, the Larry Bird rule was drafted so that once you were drafted, you were ineligible. And that's consistently changed so that now we have these rules which are unfortunately being inconsistently applied, or they appear to be inconsistently applied, because we're looking at interpreting what what these terms actually mean, the actual and necessary expenses. So it's not an easy, it's just not an easy question. I don't think that the answer is stronger NCAA leadership, because the NCAA is being challenged in court. And the courts are the ones who are causing the NCAA to react in the way they're reacting. A lot of this seems to be a fear of litigation.
Okay, Deb, I'm going to ask a question that maybe there's no answer to it, but everybody says, you know, things are in chaos. We need somebody to set some rules and let's get this thing back in order. Okay, fine. How do you do it, and who does it?
I think the answer to that at this point has to be Congress. And there's a possibility that part of this is a strategy on the part of the NCAA to get Congress to act, because when you look at the history in the last 5 or 6 years, we have the Alston case, and coming into that case, going to the Supreme Court, the NCAA and many people were convinced that, of course, we've had 100+ years of amateurism, the NCAA is going to win this, and the 9-0 decision against the NCAA and allowing the whole idea of NIL and athletes to be paid just flipped what we knew on its head. So at this point, we're dealing with so many different courts, and that's the Supreme Court. But there are all these district courts out there where anybody, attorneys general and players, are challenging the NCAA now, and they're using antitrust law to challenge. And at this point, the courts are saying, well, yeah, you are violating antitrust law, because the NCAA has been, in a lot of ways, a monopoly for well over 100+ years. It's been a monopoly, and now it's being challenged, and the courts are willing to listen. And that's a very new development, actually.
Well, Deb, can you hang around a little bit? We'd like to talk to you about contracts that players are signing, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be back to talk about players and contracts and who's on first, and do you have to really pay attention to what you've signed? It's all coming up when the Sports Life continues.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, Ann, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler, and we're being joined, as we were in the last segment, by Deb Schneider. And Deb, thanks for sticking around, because the thing that Dalton and I wanted to talk to you about was players who make agreements, and then they decide maybe I don't like the agreement, and I want to go somewhere else. So can you talk a little bit about that situation? And maybe we start off by talking about the situation with Washington quarterback DeMond Williams.
Okay, well, I'm glad to be able to stick around and chat about what's going on with, it's a combination of the transfer portal here and NIL and kids who are signing agreements and changing their mind. They're kids, right? So DeMond Williams signed an agreement with Washington and was receiving $4 million or reported to receive $4 million in NIL money. Part of that was the revenue share from the House litigation and all of that. And then he changed his mind and said, I'm going to enter the transfer portal. I don't think he ever really did enter the transfer portal, but he said he was going to, which of course meant, well, what happens to the contract that you just signed? And I think that's the real question, is what's in that contract? What does it say? And can he just void the contract and move on? So there are two parts to that also, and that is what's in the contract, and then if you enter the transfer portal, where are you going to go, given the fact that you probably want to make at least $4 million wherever you are going. And that then starts getting into the question of how much money do the schools have to actually offer a transfer? Because most schools are limited by the House settlement to paying this year the $20.5 million across all of their sports. So do they really have $4 million sitting around, $4 or $5 million to give to somebody, regardless of how good they are? But at this point, we're actually playing professional sports.
Well, and look, the Williams and Washington saga, I think, is interesting for a myriad of reasons. One, you talked about who's outbidding that. I mean, there were reports and allegations that Lane Kiffin at LSU was sniffing around for DeMond Williams after he had already, assumingly, or at least reportedly, looked like he brought Sam Levitt to campus. So he was playing some musical chairs, it seems as if, at the quarterback position. But Williams returns. As you mentioned, he kind of changed his mind there and ends up abiding by the contract he signed. But I want to play out a different reality where he doesn't change his mind. He enters the transfer portal. What kind of strength, what kind of grounds does that contract have legally where if DeMond wanted to leave, Washington says, no, here's the piece of paper you signed, you're with us? I mean, how does this actually play out, and who enforces this?
That's a great question, Dalton. At this point, we're starting to see that happen. Each school has their contract, and those contracts, if they have a mutual termination, then yes, the school can terminate or the player can terminate. If that's the case, they can terminate. But without seeing the contract, it's very difficult to see what's in it. A lot of times these contracts, we have so many things going on here. We have the age of the player. A 17-year-old can't really enter into a contract. If we have someone who's 19, yes, they can enter into a contract. So you have whether or not the player can actually enter into it, or did their parents or their guardian enter into it. Then you have what's in the contract, what it says. Is the contract with the school, which now, under the House settlement, can revenue share and is being forced to revenue share with their players. It's a 50% revenue share approximately. Or is it with a collective or other group, which is not part of the school? And maybe it's a combination of the two of those. So we have to look at where the contract is and see what's in that, who are the contracting parties to it. If it is with the school and they enter the transfer portal, and again, the transfer portal is the way it is, and I keep going back to this because the courts have forced the NCAA's hand. And there's a TRO out there that with a player who, Raqueen Battle, who wanted to transfer, and the Northern District of Virginia federal judge issued a TRO allowing him to play, so the NCAA doesn't want to challenge that. So we have this free-for-all in the transfer portal, again, because we're a little nervous about what's going to happen with going to court from the NCAA standpoint. So all of that is playing into it, and then where do you go? Who has the money to outbid? And these players are putting themselves up for free agency is what it amounts to.
Okay, so Deb, let's see if I got this right. You have revenue sharing. That's an element of cash, right? And that's $20 million per school.
At each school, yes.
You mentioned the word collective. So that's just extra money that schools are raising for their NIL, correct?
The schools are raising, or it's an outside organization that might be affiliated with the school.
Right.
So it doesn't come directly from the school.
So you've got two sources of cash here, right?
Yes.
And then you have this clearinghouse, allegedly. So I'm going to give you, Deb, $6 million to be my quarterback in an NIL package. Does it have to go through a clearinghouse to prove that you're worth $6 million in name, image, and likeness?
We do have a college clearinghouse now, yes, and that's part of the House settlement, and they have cleared millions of dollars of these NIL deals, and what they're looking for is whether or not you've received fair market value. So yes, it would have to go through a clearinghouse.
I guess the point I'm making is this is nuts.
It's nuts, and it's very difficult to figure out what's influencing anyone in these.
So at the end of the day, we have an alleged salary cap, which really isn't a salary cap because you got the collectives and that money coming in.
Right.
We have no transparency at all. At times, little loyalty. So when you talk, Deb, about the federal government having to step in, that might be the only thing that makes sense.
I think it is. I think that's the only way we're going to see it. There's a possibility that all of this is maybe part of a strategy on the part of the NCAA. It's hard to defend what's going on right now. The NCAA doesn't want to end up with another Supreme Court case against itself. We have chaos, and with any luck at all, we'll see some congressional action. The NCAA has been asking for it. Even before we had the Alston decision, they were asking for it when NIL first started to pop its head up in 2019. It's about time that somebody steps in, or we're going to continue to see this wild, wild west.
Well, Deb, it's always good speaking with you. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you, too.
So everybody out there like Dalton with a young child, just play sports and you'll be stupid rich in a few years. Anyway, take care, Deb. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there you go, some of the thoughts of Deb Schneider, a sports law attorney with Fishman Stewart, along with being an adjunct professor at Michigan State and Wayne State Universities. Well, when we come back with more of the sports life, Mike DeCourcy, maybe the brightest guy when it comes to college basketball, is going to join us.
So, I got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Just take a look and see if auto owners make sense for you. Well, we're now being joined by Mike DeCourcy. And Mike, your resume keeps getting bigger. I just started at the top. 3 decades at Sporting News as one of the greatest reporters in the world of college basketball. You're the Fox Sports bracketologist, studio work, Fox Sports, Big Ten Network, and just for fun, you're in the Writers Hall of Fame. Did I get it all?
Oh, that's plenty.
Yeah, there you go. I always say when we get Mike on, Dalton, I always feel smarter when we're done with the interview than I was before we started. But, Mike, there's a lot of craziness going on in intercollegiate athletics in general, but I thought we'd focus on a little bit of basketball today. And your take on ethics, do you think we're losing our ethics in the sport?
Well, can you specify what you mean by that?
Well, for example, we have tampering of players throughout the season. Is anybody really caring about what is paid here or there? You know what I mean? Are we operating under any semblance of rules?
I don't think, first of all, I don't think that that's really changed. I mean, it may be more common because of the availability of instant eligibility, immediate eligibility. We call it the transfer portal because that's a lot easier to say than immediate eligibility. But the transfer portal, when it was introduced, was a wonderful device that was designed so that athletes didn't have to get permission from their coaches or schools in order to make decisions about their futures, which seemed pretty reasonable. And then the immediate eligibility component was added later as court cases were decided. And so the transfer portal became the lexicon for guys and young women being able to transfer and compete immediately at second schools, and then eventually after another case was decided, third, fourth, and fifth schools. And so tampering existed long before all of this. A player at school X would be on the bench getting 5 minutes a game, and school Y would look at that player and say, player might be able to help me. So I'm going to have somebody reach out to the player at school X's AAU coach and say, hey, any chance he might want to play at school Y? Because he's not getting any run there, but he could get run here. And then, and this goes to the component that I've heard coaches complain about, the players joining teams at midseason. They invented this. I mean, maybe not all the ones who are complaining, but the coaches at large invented this concept with the midseason transfer that used to exist in college sports, where players would leave after either playing too little or not at all in the first half of the season, and they would leave at the mid part of the season, and then they would spend the spring and fall as their year in residence, and then they would play the second half of the following season at the next school. And coaches, through their little whispers to the AAU coaches, pitched that as this dream where you didn't really have to miss a full year and all this. And what ended up happening to those athletes was they would lose a full year. The standard college basketball player might play 120 to 130 games, and the midseason transfer would end up playing 85 or 90 games, because that's what happens. You miss half of your, let's say, your sophomore year, and then the first half of your junior year. But it works out great for the school that gets to have you practice all that time and be ready to go when the fall semester ends. Those were bad ethics. I never liked that. I thought that was terrible for the athlete, but it was good for those schools that encouraged it because it filled a gap in their rosters. So I don't have a problem with players being added at mid-year when the coaches at large, again, not necessarily the ones complaining about it, but the coaches at large were the ones who introduced that concept a long time ago, just in a different uniform, a different set of clothes. In other elements, the dividing line between those who have played professionally for European clubs, for the G League, that sort of thing, I don't understand the barrier there either. Players are now making a lot of money to play college basketball. If you are willing to follow college basketball rules, which still involve, hopefully forever, certainly for now, you got to go to school. I mean, whether you're going to school by sitting at your computer for an hour or going into a classroom, and there are varying different ways of participating in this, you have to still be enrolled in school, and you have to be making progress toward a degree. And so I don't have a problem with if you were making $25,000 or $35,000 in the G League, and now you can make a lot more than that playing college basketball. I don't have a problem with that player playing in college. I just don't see why anybody would.
Mike, you actually ended up answering my question, so I'll shift gears because, as Will said, you got a pretty long resume. I'll go over to the bracketology side and hit some of this with you. When it comes to your work in the Big Ten Conference for bracketology, it looks like there's 3 programs that feel awfully bubbly: the Badgers, Buckeyes, and maybe Hoosiers. Is there anybody in that mix? And what's the pros and cons as we sit here in the middle of January? What's the prospects for those programs? What's the flaws that might keep them away?
Well, the challenges for them are going to be schedule related to an extent. Some of the schools, Wisconsin did not accomplish much, and I'm being very kind there, in the non-conference portion of the schedule. So little, I should say, that by the time I got around to doing my brackets full time, so to speak, in the last week of December, I didn't even really think about Wisconsin. And of course, they forced their way into our consciousness by going to Michigan and playing brilliantly and winning, and playing really honestly like a lot of us thought they would all year, but they hadn't. I would put UCLA into that bubble group as well. I don't think that they're excluded from that. And I hope that this is not the case, but Iowa is playing its way in that direction. I think a lot of Iowa's circumstances schedule related. They're just hitting a really rough road in their schedule, but they have trended backward because of that, having to go to Purdue, et cetera. But I think those teams all, it's going to be a lot about schedule. I talked about this on Fox Sports in a pregame show this week about UCLA. Theirs is largely schedule related. They did not achieve much in terms of high quality victories in non-conference. And so they go into conference play needing to get quality wins. And the way their schedule develops over the course of the next 2 months, basically, is that those quality games that are available to them are high quality. I mean, they're like walking the tightrope between the two towers, between in a circus. No matter what you do, you look down and it's really perilous. You look at you're having to play at Ohio State this weekend. That's one of the quote easy games that they have in the Quad 1 sector. There are other 6 Quad 1 games remaining. Purdue, Indiana. Indiana is not a Quad 1 game. They have Purdue. They have Michigan State. Both of those on the road. They have Illinois at home, and 2 games against USC. It's a real challenge for them to try to get quality wins and get together a tournament resume. And I'd say I think they have 7 Quad 1s left, and I think they're going to have to win 3 of them and not lose too many of the other games that are in the Quad 2 range or so in order to make it. So it's going to be like that for everybody. Ohio State, Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin. It really comes down to what's demanded of you and how you can meet that challenge.
Shifting gears now to players, Mike. I mean, the Big Ten has had some amazing individuals playing college basketball. Braden Smith of Purdue, historically, where does he stack up?
Well, he's got a chance to be the NCAA's career assists leader. And you look at it, and it's not just a function of playing a lot of games. First of all, one of the things I've talked about is that being the career assists leader means you played in a lot of games. Well, if you're in college and you played in a lot of games, what did that mean? Well, that means you won a lot of games, because playing a lot of games means you advance in the Big Ten tournament. You advance in the NCAAs. It really helps you to gather numbers in that circumstance. I mean, Bobby Hurley, who is number 1 at this point, played 140 college games. Now, why did he do that? Because in his first 3 years, they played in the national championship game every time. They won 2 of them, and he would have played in more games. And in his range, his record's a little bit more in range, because in his 3rd year, which was his second championship year, he was injured for a series of games. So that kind of helps Braden a little bit. But it's a team award in that you have to play in a lot of games, and you have to have teammates who are capable of converting your excellent passes into baskets. So Trey Kaufman-Wren's unbelievable ability to play in the low post and to score from 12 feet, that helps him to get more assists. That's one of the things I love about the assist record, is that it involves those 2 elements of team play. As far as a point guard, I mean, I think that by the time we're done, he has to be talked about with the greatest Big Ten point guards. And it's different with Magic, because obviously the greatest player ever to play point guard in the Big Ten, but he only did it for 2 years, whereas Mateen did it for 4 and was an All-America level player for 3, would have been a first teamer 3 times in a row if it weren't for the injuries that impacted his senior year and dropped him down to second, not on performance, but on availability. And he eventually won a national championship that year. And so he has to be talked about with those guys, with Cassius Winston, with all the great point guards that have played in the Big Ten. I think that you'd look at Quinn Buckner would be another. It's just a phenomenal list. And Braden's, it will not be complete without Braden's name on it.
Okay, we just have a few seconds, Mike, real quick. Yes or no, does the Big Ten bring home a national championship finally again?
Well, this is their best chance in a long time. But the difficulty is that the field is incredible. I mean, I mentioned, 4 teams. So that's 1/3 of the top 12 teams in college basketball. Those other 8 teams are really good, man. So if I had to say them or the field, I'd still say the field because there's 8 to 10 chances on the other side and 4 on the Big Ten side. But I think this is a great opportunity for the Big Ten to do it.
Well, Mike, as always, it's great visiting with you, and I'm sure I'll see you soon somewhere along the way.
I hope so. Will and Dalton, thank you very much.
Some of the thoughts from Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News with some really informative thoughts in the world of college basketball. Well, when we come back, our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little, but thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt. That's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking?
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. And Dalton, I don't know with the show if we've helped people sort things out or not, but Deb Schneider is always good to visit with, not to mention Mike DeCourcy. So we have now worked our way to our parting shots.
If you missed those visits, give us a follow at Sports Life Now on X. That's again at Sports Life Now. We'll have them both posted there. Want to do a little bit of a thought exercise. See if you can come up with something that kind of fits the pattern here. When we talk about Big Ten coaches, right? And we've talked about the immediate rise of Indiana football under head coach Curt Cignetti in Big Ten football. It had me and a couple of colleagues thinking about what are the comparisons in Big Ten sports to immediate success in men's and women's basketball. With women's basketball, the consensus we came to was Shauna Green at Illinois. And that was a program that hadn't been to the NCAA tournament in over 2 decades. And then in her first year, she takes the Illini to the big dance. I mean, that was a really cool moment. You could make an argument that Indiana's Terry Morin, I mean, they hadn't won a Big Ten title in 40 years outright, and she was able to get that done. But it took a little bit of time to build. I was trying to think, men's basketball, what's obviously Curt Cignetti's with the immediate turnaround in a class of his own, but who has just showed up to a new place and immediately had success? I started thinking about this a little bit. You can make the case right now that Iowa's Ben McCollum's having a little bit of that, turning things around there for the Hawkeyes. Dusty May at Michigan got to the NCAA tournament in year 1. They won the Big Ten tournament in year 1. Obviously having a tremendous amount of success here in year 2. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the list of immediate turnarounds. You got anything off the top of your head?
No, and you can't compare them because we're talking about winning a Big Ten basketball tournament. That's a big deal. Don't get me wrong. We're talking about winning a national football championship at the other end of this thing. I don't think they balance out very well.
And that's fair. I think there is no Curt Cignetti anywhere else, but if you had to find something of a similar jetway on a smaller scale, I think those are your answers, but it was a fun thought exercise to have.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when you're done, the Indiana accomplishments even look bigger.
It's true.
They just look bigger. Well, mine is I want to give a little shout out to the Big Ten's deputy commissioner. Her name is Diane Dietz, and she really was a heck of a basketball player at the University of Michigan. So good that she became the first Michigan women's basketball player to ever have her jersey retired. And that is an amazing accomplishment and probably long overdue. So get this, she played from 79 to 82, became the program's first 2,000-point scorer, and that record held for over 30 years. And when she left, she led the team in steals, and that's part of what she did. That'll get your jersey retired, right?
Sure.
But the other part of what she did was she is one of only 2 Michigan student-athletes to ever been inducted into the Academic Hall of Fame. That is something. She was a 3-time Academic All-American and was the first female recipient of the Big Ten Medal of Honor Award in 1982. That is really something. She's in the Michigan Athletics Hall of Fame. That happened in 96. And she's in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame, and that happened in 2019. So, Diane, congratulations. Long overdue. Number 21 in the rafters at the Chrysler Center. And with that, that is a wrap for our show. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler, and our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Teeman, and thanks for your time.